Hello everyone. Welcome to the English for Immigrants channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about a super important topic for anyone who wants to communicate fluently in English, collocations. If you've ever tried learning English, you've probably noticed there's a difference between what you learn in textbooks and what native speakers actually say. And that's exactly where collocations come in. These are natural word combinations that sound more natural and common for native English speakers. When you start learning English, it's normal to study individual words. But to speak English really fluently, you need to understand that certain words just go together. For example, in Portuguese, we don't say fazer banho or criar banho. The correct way is tomar banho, to take a shower. In English, the same thing happens. The natural way to say tomar banho is take a shower, and this makes all the difference in sounding natural. Now, think about other everyday situations. When you make a mistake, the correct way to express that in English is make a mistake. This word combination is used all the time, so it's very important to learn to use it properly. Instead of saying do a mistake or create a mistake, which would sound strange, the natural way is make a mistake. This is one of the most common collocations, and knowing how to use it will make your English sound much more authentic. And if you need to make a decision, the correct way to say that in English is make a decision. Here, we don't use the verb do, even though in Portuguese we say fazer uma decisão. In English, that would be incorrect. The verb make is the most common when talking about decisions, so it's important to remember this collocation whenever you come across this situation. When you're talking about effort, the correct expression in English is make an effort. You don't say do an effort in English, even though that might seem intuitive for someone learning the language. Just like in Portuguese, the verb fazer, to make, is translated differently depending on the situation. When you're putting an effort to achieve something, you make an effort. Another verb that comes up frequently in collocations is do. For example, if you need to talk about homework, you would use the expression do homework. If someone says, I need to do homework, that means they need to do their schoolwork. This is another essential collocation in everyday English. We also say, do the laundry and do the cleaning. These are basic, everyday phrases, so it's crucial to practice them. Now, let's talk a bit about the verb have. This verb comes up in many collocations, and it's important to use it correctly. For example, when you're having breakfast, the correct expression in English is have breakfast. If you say do breakfast, that would be wrong. Also, when you're having lunch, the correct way to say it is have lunch. And if you're having dinner, we say have dinner. The verb have is also used when talking about pain, like in have a headache, having a headache. This is very common, especially when you're in a medical setting or with friends. Another important collocation is have a good time, which means to enjoy oneself. The phrase, did you have a good time? Is something you'll hear when someone returns from a party or an event, and the answer might be, yes, I had a great time. So it's really important to know how to use have. These expressions are used frequently in social and informal contexts. The verb take is another one that has several important collocations. A classic example is take a shower, which means to take a shower. This expression is used all the time, so it's essential for you to know it and use it correctly. When you need to take a break, the correct expression is take a break, meaning to pause and rest. If you're tired and want to take a nap, the correct phrase is take a nap. These are simple but essential collocations, and you'll use them frequently in your day-to-day life. Now, think of the expression take your time, which is often used when someone needs more time to do something. If someone is rushing, but you want them to take their time, you might say, take your time, there's no rush. This collocation is great for relaxed situations or when asking for calm. Another verb you'll use a lot is give. For example, if you want to give advice, the correct way to say that is give advice. Give a speech is also a common expression when someone is giving a presentation. If you're calling someone, you can say give someone a call, which sounds more natural. Instead of make a call, prefer give someone a call. If someone asks for permission, the expression is give permission. These collocations are essential, especially in professional and formal contexts, so make sure you practice them and get comfortable using them in your conversations. When it comes to verb and noun combinations, you'll often hear things like break the rules, which means to break the rules. This can happen in both formal and informal environments, and it's very important to know how to use these expressions properly to sound more natural and fluent. If someone has a cold, the correct way to say that is catch a cold. And if you miss the bus or the train, the most natural way to say it is miss the bus. When you need to focus, you can use the expression pay attention. This is one of the most common collocations, especially in classrooms or work settings where being attentive is important. There are also other expressions you'll use in health or well-being contexts. For example, lose weight means to lose weight. If you're dieting or exercising to get in shape, this is the phrase you'd use. Another important expression is tell the truth, which means to be honest. This is something crucial when you're talking about honesty, whether in work, relationships, or any other context. Keep a promise is also a very common collocation, especially when talking about being responsible. When you familiarize yourself with these collocations and start using them correctly, your English will start to sound much more natural. The key is to practice consistently and be aware of the most common ways of expressing yourself. That's how you'll improve your fluency and confidence. If you listen to podcasts, watch movies and TV shows, or read books in English, you'll notice that collocations are everywhere. And it's exactly these combinations that make your English sound more fluent and natural. They are the secret behind natural-sounding sentences in English. Now, to really put these collocations into practice, try using them in your daily conversations. The more you practice, the more natural they'll become to you. So, remember that the key to learning English isn't just memorizing individual words, but learning these combinations. For example, if you need to say that you're thinking about something, use the expression think about something. You don't say think something without the preposition. Or, if someone asks you about a plan, you can use the expression plan ahead, which is common in future contexts. Another common mistake for English learners is not knowing the difference between make and do. As we've seen, make is used when you're creating something or doing something that involves a decision or creation, like make a decision or make progress. Use it in creative contexts. Whereas do is used for tasks like do the dishes or do the job. Also, for some expressions, the combination can be with the verb get, like get a job, to get a job, get tired, to get tired, or get married, to get married. These are key expressions in conversations. Additionally, we can't forget about expressions like run a business, to manage a business, and run errands, to do errands. These collocations are essential for any professional or personal context, and they come up quite often in work-related or everyday conversations. As you can see, collocations are a fundamental part of English, and using them correctly will make you communicate much more fluently and naturally. Practice these expressions whenever you can, whether in conversations with friends, at work, or even by watching movies and shows. This will help you internalize these expressions and use them effortlessly. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the English for Immigrants channel, and hit the notification bell to receive more amazing content. See you next time.